Well, now I'd like to turn to Martin Breckbilt, MMR, who is building an old kit for us, which is a little bit different than the kind of kit that you just saw Bill build. Martin, welcome. I hope your weather is okay.
It's only rain here, but I got a message from Greg. He's got thunder, lightning, and he's not with us anymore on the show. So there must be something to the north of me that's pretty ugly.
At least it's not where you are.
Oh, not yet. The night's young. The night's young. Wait for it. Let's see. Okay. Okay, are we good to go now? Looks okay at my end.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the third part. It'll also be the final part. We're going to zip through it, but we're going to back up over myself briefly because Jim asked about brake components. And last week I mentioned what we use, or what I was using, was just this simple K brake. It's a nice brass casting from Precision Scale. You could use white metal ones that are out there if you want to save a few pennies, but I don't really worry about it anymore. I just buy them in bulk and keep running. But there are other options besides just a simple K brake, and here's one of them. And this is a 14 by 12 without a slack adjuster brake cylinder. Comes with the levers. You can see it has a nice lever at each end. And you can see little holes here. So you can actually run a wire off the end, tuck that under your bolster to simulate the linkage to the truck. And you can get these from Q-Car. And this isn't a simple freight car. This is actually it's an RPO freight motor I built a couple of years ago. But it basically has the same brake cylinder on it. But this one happens to have the slack adjuster. So you get different variations of these, again, from Q-Car. Q-Car is basically your one-stop shopping place for traction parts and detail parts now. That and eBay and train shows. There's basically nobody else out there. I guess maybe somebody's printing them on, you can download them off of Shapeways or wherever, but so far I haven't found too many of those yet. But there are not a lot of vendors in the traction field or any of the scales for model railroading, unfortunately. So you're stuck with the secondary market. And yet another variation, a little bit slimmer version. Actually, that's not right. It's a 10 by 8 or 8 by 10 without a slack adjuster, but that's also from Q-Car. So you have different possibilities. You can see how these link together, and you can run a wire back underneath here, and it looks better. You can fill up the underbody a little bit more. I don't remember what that car is even. But now we can talk about radial couplers. Unlike regular freight cars, traction freight cars frequently have radial couplers. That's these little gadgets here on the end. These are set from Current Line, which is, as far as I know, defunct now. These couplers, if and when you find them, are prized, and it is highly competitive trying to get them off of eBay or anywhere else you can find them. That's one option, but they're out there, they're floating around. So, they're added to the rounded ends. Your past and current choices. Precision Scale makes these as a kit, the brass kit. It's really the old Chemtron brass kit. They can be made to operate if you have patience, will, determination, strong drink, colorful language, and more patience than the human body can contain. But they're out there. You can order them up, and they'll get to your mailbox someday. Q-Car sells the Q-Cars. It's not brass and white metal. It's all white metal. There's a brass fitting, I think, in the middle of it. That is a dummy coupler. Those are available. You can order those. They're very nice, easy to install. They come assembled. You don't have to mess around assembling the things. And that in itself is a major advantage. Current Line, I showed those already. That's also a dummy coupler. And there are others. The others are DIY. So there's what the Q car couplers look like. They swivel on this nice white metal edge. There's a little clip on them. They hang nice and neatly. Two places for wood screws, three actually, for mounting them. Fairly easy, straightforward to use. Or you can make your own because these are dummy couplers. And, okay, we have KD couplers. So can we just take some brass, solder it up, drill a few holes here, run a piece of wire, wrap it around a KD coupler, flathead screw, wood screw, and probably should be a pan head, but it was a regular wood screw. You've got a coupler, radial coupler. It is that easy. So that's one option. Here's something I ran across, and of course it's no longer in business either. Apparently Brass Specialist has gone the way of many others, but where you could get these couple little parts, which were basically extenders for KD couplers, mate them up with some 804s or 805s, and you can make an operating radial coupler. This is not as easy as it sounds. So, these go in the parts bin. You're not going to need those parts. You've got some number 2 screws, a little round bushing here, which you have to drill out a hole for. And, little divots that tell you where you can decide how far you want your radius to be. Chop off the part you don't want, grind it round. Don't worry about it. The KD coupler slips over this. And I use the word slips over in the most generous of terms. A good half an hour with a good sharp file, maybe even the Dremel, and you might get the KD coupler to slip over that. And this little latch here slides over the top of it. You tap this and put a little screw through it. You're all set to go. And that's what it looks like if you do it, after much sanding and filing and colorful language and sore fingers. And it works rather well. But the problem there is, as I said, Brass Specialist apparently has gone the way of all good things. And it works. It goes on here very neatly. Drop a wood screw here. Put your little 256 in here. Screw it down, and you've got basically a working radial coupler that actually will function as a KD coupler. So you can do operations of some sort, or just have it look better than a dummy coupler. Okay, the other option is, well, why don't you just make your own, which is what I did. And you need a piece of flat stock and a piece of, this is actually square channel, as I recall, which just happened to be the same size as the opening of my KD coupler. None of that painful sanding, grinding, filing, aggravation. It slips right over. And don't need a little bracket piece. We have these things called washers. They hold that coupler on there just fine. So, brass flat stock, some square channel, solder it up, cut up a piece, drill a hole big enough for your screw of whatever size you decide to use. I'm using usually a 0 by 3/8 inch wood screw. This is a 256 with a little lock washer on top of it. Now I've got an operating KD coupler, radial KD coupler. Easy enough. So now we have radial couplers. Painting. This is going to go jumping right to near the very finished product. Lark dark gray, steam black, Weyerhaeuser green, my favorite color for my cars, roof brown, and some tan color, which I have no idea where it came from. I can't even find it listed in my notes, but these are flow quill and polyscale. So I'm still using those until I run out of them. Once I run out of them, I'll worry about changing to something else. So there's the roof. That was that canvas tarred roof. That got the dark gray. Little roof brown roof walk. It's only 2 boards. There's grab irons up the side. Everything else got the black trim paint. There's that little tan. Weyerhaeuser green. It's a funky dark green, unlike anything else, because whatever Floco called it, it wasn't. It was something else. But it's a green I just happen to like. And there's the roof. Another view of the roof. It needs a coat of matte clear to just dull everything down and tie it all together. But so a few added details: anti-climbers, which keep your cars climbing over each other at the end if they do collide. Q-Car or Wagner, which is current line, which is no longer available, but Q-Car has several types, some that span the entire, that's backwards. Some that span the entire radius, some are only fit halfway across. This is a brake wheel and gearbox. It came from Bowser's. Bowser Selly is a white metal casting. It really actually fits rather nicely on these cars. It actually is, you need a nice metal wooden, a nice metal box here on the end for your brake wheel. Piece of chain hooked up to it, drop down through the floor to the connection for the brake line. And that pretty much ties up the entire end. And that ends that car. It's just that simple.
Great. Does the swing arm coupler, is there a self-centering on it, or does it just go
No.
where it goes?
It goes where it goes. Because if you want to go around right around the city block on your interurban line, you can do that. You can make a, I don't know, 18-inch radius in O scale, maybe lower, maybe tighter.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually lets you get very, very tight. The biggest issue on those, though, is backing up is going to be an interesting exercise.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why a lot of traction in urban lines and stuff are circular. They go around and around. Don't back up. Backing up the wire, overhead wire, is a lot of fun too. In reality, as much as in models.
I did something similar once with some, but I put a piece of phosphor bronze wire straight on down, so it would center, so you could couple, but it would still swing with, with the radius.
Yeah, you can put there's a way to, you can even tie a spring to the top of this and mount it and get it to self-center if you really wanted to, but I don't really worry about it too much. We go round and round here as opposed to worrying about such things as backing up and on. Any other questions? Got anything in the chat or anything?
Great job.
Have you by chance ever used a used coffee filter for the canvas roof?
No, but I have heard people do that.
Yeah, it makes a very, very credible material.
No, I think I'd have to steal those from my wife. She makes the coffee in the house, 2 cups at a time. So
Tea bags will also work if you're a teetotaler.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's true, too. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. But you can see also, I don't worry too much about how trying to get the roof perfectly glossy black paint, smooth roof. You're going to cover it over anyhow. Problem solved. Don't worry about it. It's life's too short to try and sand roof sections until they're perfectly glossy with sanding sealer and sand again and sanding sealer and sand again and sand again and then put a coat of black paint on it, which doesn't look like the prototype anyhow.
Nice looking car, Martin.
Thank you. Whoever that was.
That was Pat.
Ah, Pat. Okay. So that's end of this one.